Welcome to Thrive in Design, a podcast about making money in beautiful interiors as it relates to product-based businesses in the interior design industry. Each week, we'll discuss innovative strategies on how to approach product development and design sales in a shifting market. I'm your host, Nicole Lashae Ben. This episode was brought to you by DesignPool. Are you an interior designer looking to create a truly unique experience for your clients? Meet DesignPool, the game-changing resource for specifying materials like wall coverings, upholstery, flooring, window films, and so much more, all in one easy-to-use site. Imagine having access to an online library filled with award-winning designs ready to inspire your next project. With DesignPool, you can browse, dream, and then seamlessly connect with digital printers to turn those ideas into one-of-a-kind final products. Whether you're crafting a bold statement piece or a cohesive, customized design for an entire space, DesignPool helps you stand out in the industry. Ready to bring your vision to life? Visit DesignPoolPatterns.com today and start creating designs as unique as your clients. DesignPool, where inspiration meets innovation. Hello and welcome back for another episode of the Thrive in Design podcast. I am so excited to kick off season 7 of this podcast. If you're new here, hello and welcome. My name is Nicole Lashae Ben, and I am the founder and CEO of Thrive in Design, which is not only just a podcast, it is so much more. We are a design and innovation consultancy that focuses on helping interior product brands build their brand awareness and revenue. And I'm so happy you're here. If you are a fan of this show, a past client, almost a client, welcome back. If you have been listening to this podcast for quite some time, I'm so excited to have you back because there's even more to cover in this season. Let me just start by giving you guys a recap of 2024, and then I have some insightful information to share with you on this episode. So 2024 was an epic year, not only for me, but for Thrive in Design. We crossed 4,000 downloads. We served over 120 clients, and that was through our consulting offers, through one-on-one coaching, executive coaching to CEOs and entrepreneurs of small businesses. We did websites. We did booth designs. We did, oh my gosh, it was just so amazing. And I'm just so thankful for the impact that was made in 2024. Some of the favorite things that happened last year was a partnership that I was doing for 3 years. If you guys don't know, for the last 3 years, I had a partnership with a nonprofit called Action Opportunity Fund, and their mission is to provide funding and resources to small business owners who are women-owned and minority-owned businesses. And I had the pleasure of having a partnership with them for 3 amazing years. That partnership has just come to an end, but hopefully there will be so much more. But a part of my passion is to really take the information that I have, take the resources and the knowledge that I have access to, and pour it back into business owners that look like me, whether they be women, whether they be Black, whether they be minority-owned businesses, because at the end of the day, marginalized groups of people do not have the resources or the access to have success in entrepreneurship that other groups of people have. So I'm so excited that I was able to have that partnership for 3 years and pour into hundreds, when I say hundreds, of small business owners of all different types of businesses, product-based businesses, service-based businesses. And it was even a pleasure to connect with product-based businesses in the interior design industry through that. Through that partnership, I was able to do executive coaching and strategic planning for over 400 small businesses. And when I tell you guys, I'm just so excited that I was able to do that partnership. And I'm so excited to now be moving on to continue on executive coaching and strategic planning through the offers that I have at Thrive in Design. So if you guys have not checked out our latest coaching offers, you can go to thriveindesign.co/coaching. So this is good if you are an entrepreneur, you're a small business owner, you maybe have been in business for 5 years or less, and you've just kind of been winging it, right? You have this amazing idea. You maybe have gained some traction and gained some revenue from your ideas, but you haven't necessarily had a plan or a go-to-market strategy, and you don't necessarily need all the bells and whistles of what we offer at Thrive in Design, which are branding, marketing, sales strategy, the execution of all of those things. You just need somebody to talk to on a regular basis and to coach you through the ideas that you're working with in your business. So again, if you are like one of the amazing 400 plus entrepreneurs that I've been able to coach through my partnership over the last 3 years, head to thriveanddesign.co/coaching and learn more about my coaching services. So that is what I'm super excited about. And we have so much in store at Thrive in Design for 2025. Get ready. Of course, we're in season 7 of this podcast. Season 8 will be airing in the summer of 2025. We have sponsorships open for the podcast now. We're going to be doing a little mini summit coming up, so stay tuned for more details on that. Just all the things. And just like in 2024, where I was traveling all around, I will be at all the major trade shows, so keep an eye out for announcements on what those things are so that we can meet up in person. But speaking of trade shows, and again, I'm telling you guys, I'm going to get to the topics at hand today. I just have so many announcements to make. But speaking of trade shows, one of my goals for 2025 and beyond is to have different activations at some of the industry trade shows. I personally love to attend HD Expo in Las Vegas, NeoCon in Chicago, and BDNY in New York. So one of my goals this year and beyond is to be a panel moderator, be on a panel at these conferences, and or just do activations within a booth or a showroom at these conferences. So if you are on the search for somebody to lead your panel, to be on your panel, or even to do some exciting content activations within your booth or your showroom at one of these trade shows, let me know. Reach out to me at hello@NicoleLashae.com. All right, that is all for the announcements today. I have so many gems to share with you guys because if you might not know, when I go to these trade shows or when I am consulting my clients, I am doing a lot of research. I not only pay attention to the trends that are happening within product development, but I mostly look at it from a different lens of trends that are happening within marketing, within sales strategy, and within the shifts of our industry as we embrace the digital age more and more, especially in this post-pandemic society and world that we live in today. So as I traveled around the country to all of these trade shows last year and had the opportunity to consult so many amazing different clients, I came up with some really good insights that are pertinent to share. And I'm excited to share it on this podcast in the episodes to come. So get ready. This episode, of course, is a solo episode, and I have some exciting things to share. As we go into the other episodes for season 7, you'll be hearing from one of my clients, Dan Hangula from Decorator Industries next week. He's an amazing client and fabricator of bedding and window treatments. You'll be hearing from people around storytelling and visual storytelling. You'll be hearing from designers and brands as they share their story on how they built the brands that they have and, what shifts they are making as our industry continues to evolve. So let's get into today's topic. A few seasons ago, I actually did some episodes where I talked through scenarios of different companies. So I would come up with a company scenario, what they were currently experiencing, what challenges they were facing, and some solutions that I came up with to solve those challenges. So think of this episode kind of like that, because I came across a company last year that gave me some inspiration for this episode. So before we get into what challenges they were facing, let me give you a little bit of background on this particular company. And if you can relate, keep listening. So essentially, this company was around for about 15 years. The founder of the company came up with an idea for this interior product company on a whim. And at the time when he thought of this idea, he didn't see anybody in the marketplace executing it and especially not executing the interior product in the way that he imagined. So he, went all out on his idea, created this interior product, got it to market, and it was very successful. The first go-to-market strategy for this interior product was e-commerce. So direct-to-consumer brand for an interior product, and he went straight on e-commerce. So not only did he have the idea for the product, he also had to figure out the nuts and bolts of actually manufacturing the product because he wasn't outsourcing it to some type of third party. He also had to figure out shipping and handling, how to deliver that product without it getting damaged to the customer. And then he also had to figure out what would the hot strategies or good strategies for e-commerce, direct-to-consumer brands to really grow brand awareness and grow revenue. Now, over the course of 15 years, this interior product company made waves in their specific niche and grew their business to upwards of over $15 million in sales year over year, which is amazing. And then there came a point that this company decided, hey, we have been this direct-to-consumer e-commerce brand and we have achieved success. But we've also seen businesses requesting to order some of our products. And we've also seen interior designers requesting to order some of our products. And because the founder did not have background in like B2B sales or even interior product sales, it never even had dawned on him to explore those different avenues and those different segments for sales until last year. And so when he decided, okay, there's definitely a demand for it, right? He looked at the data in his business. There's definitely a demand for B2B sales, design sales. Let's go to explore these different segments. And what this owner didn't realize was that there were so many things that would be opened up like a can of worms when trying to explore not only B2B sales, but design sales. So if you're a brand out there and you're like, hey, I've been e-commerce for a while, we have achieved success, and then we're thinking about expanding our go-to-market strategy into different design segments, but we have no idea even what we're getting into. This specific owner, he thought that the solution was, okay, we're just going to hire one person that has expertise in design sales, and then they can just go out there and sell. We're going to set a sales goal of $1 million in the first year. And this person with experience and connections in the industry will take our sales and skyrocket them in the first 12 months. What happens when you think that, if you were relating to this at all, is that you've not done the prep work and the foundation work of strategic planning when it comes to design sales, of transitioning from an e-commerce direct-to-consumer brand into design sales and all of the amazing design segments that we have in our industry. So these are a few things that you need to consider if you're like, okay, I'm an e-commerce brand. I've been direct to consumer. Those direct to consumer people have been residential clients or homeowners or what have you. They've been buying our products and putting in their home. And now my goal is to shift into commercial design segments and maybe even hospitality. You might have been thinking, what are some things that I actually need to consider beyond hiring somebody, setting a sales goal, and hoping for the best? Because if that is your strategy, it's not going to work. So the first thing that you actually need to think about is your product. Before you think about where you're going to sell it, how you're going to sell it, how somebody's going to, specify, we need to get down to the nitty gritty of your product. And the question that I want you to ask is, does my product actually meet the standards for the design segment or sales segment that I'm going after? So within specific design segments, of course, there are fire codes. There are certain pricing expectations. There are certain installation methods that are expected in design segments. So you have to really do a deep dive into figuring out, is your product actually ready for a specific design segment when it comes to design sales? So I'll give you an example. If you are a wall decor brand, for example, and you've been doing direct to consumer, you've been selling your product through your website, selling your artwork through your website, and you want to go into hospitality. Some of the things that you might be considering is, do I even have the safety fasteners readily available to attach my wall art to the wall without it falling down? So that sounds like something super small, but if it's going into hospitality or even healthcare for that matter, if somebody bumps up against the wall, if there is an earthquake or any sort of high traffic area, do you have the proper fasteners or installation methods available for your product to go on the wall? I'll break it down even further. If you print on a very fragile material, is this product durable enough for high traffic areas? Is your material actually rated for certain fire codes if that is required within certain design markets and design segments? So there's so many things and so many rabbit holes that we can go down. But if you are going after a specific design segment, it's first important to look at your product and see, is this even feasible, or do we need to make any tweaks in order for it to actually succeed and be specified in a specific design segment? I'll give you an example even further in terms of this example that I'm talking about. In this example company, they were also a brand that was essentially custom. They worked with each of their customers to create a custom interior product. So they essentially did not have any inventory of basic designs, for lack of better words. So if that is the case, and you're thinking about, my product has been successful with just custom, how do you adapt that for a certain design segment, especially hospitality? Is custom going to lead you to getting the amount of orders and volume that you need in order to hit your revenue goal? Or do you need to think about creating collections at certain price points to be more attractive to the design segments that you're going after? Okay, so let's recap that. Does my product actually meet the standards for design sales? So you have to start thinking about the fire codes, the product collection. Are we custom? Do we have a collection? Does this have the right installation methods? And is this comparable, really, to what people expect from my type of interior product company in this specific design segment? Okay, so I hope that was helpful so far. And so the second thing that you should start thinking about is, after we've explored all of those things, do we even want to make the investment in making the tweaks, passing the test, creating the collections, etc., to actually succeed at design sales? And if yes, then proceed. And then from there, I typically see companies then make a sales goal. They are very optimistic. They like, hey, we want to do $1 million in sales in the first year. I've even talked with some people from other companies, and they're like, oh yeah, I have a sales goal of $1 million in the first year, $1.3 million in the second year, $1.7 million in the third year, which is really ambitious. And we're going to talk about why that is unrealistic in a second. Now, if you are moving forward and you're setting a sales goal when it comes to design sales, it's very different from setting a sales goal in e-commerce. And here's why. When it comes to e-commerce and direct-to-consumer sales, you have a little bit more control in the channels that you are pointing people towards on your website. So, of course, your website is the main way that you are making and generating revenue. You might be pointing traffic to your website through digital ads on Facebook, Instagram, maybe even another platform. You might be doing search, like through Google search. You might have SEO that's building traffic over to your website. And you also might be doing some organic marketing. You might have PR and press, some partnerships, right? So those are all of the things that are typical when you're doing some e-commerce brand awareness building. And you're pushing people over to your website. And then when you're on e-commerce, you can also kind of tweak the sales funnel to push people towards adding things to their cart and making the checkout. So of course, not everything is predictable, but e-commerce has a lot of different metrics and steps within the sales funnel that you can predict in order to hit a certain amount of money, especially when you ironed out that sales funnel. So if you were to set a goal in e-commerce and ironed out your sales funnel, tested and refined things, you could hit $1 million in a year. I've seen it happen for brands, especially when you're amplifying your ads. Now, when it comes to our industry, in the interior design industry, we're actually not using a lot of ads. If it's on the residential side, maybe. But when it comes to design sales within traditional segments, hospitality, workplace, healthcare, and all of those things, I have not seen a lot of interior product companies taking advantage of ads, mainly because that's just not where we are yet. So there's a lot more relationship building and manual tasks that are still happening to get to that sale. We also have to think about the sales cycle is a lot longer in design sales than it is in e-commerce or even something like workplace, honestly. So if you're used to a short sales cycle of it being just a few weeks from somebody looking at your website to actually making a purchase or learning about your product to actually making a purchase, it's typically not how it works in design sales. A project can start the design development phase today, and construction might not even start until 2 years from now. So seeds that are planted over the next 6, 12, 18 months might not even be realized into an actual sale for quite some time. So you have to think about, all right, if the sales process is longer, and there's also so many different factors that come into play. Your competitor might steal the spec. The project might go on hold. The owner might decide, hey, we don't actually want to renovate anymore. There's so many different things that go into play where your sales team could also be, getting 100 specifications, but only 30% of those actually come into play. So there's so many different things that makes it unrealistic for a company to immediately go from 0 to $1 million in design sales in a year that needs to be considered. So if you're setting your sales goal, make it realistic. And some things to think about in making that realistic are some basic metrics. If you've had some design sales come in organically, for example, how many leads actually come in organically on a monthly basis? Out of those leads, how many are actually converted to a sale? What's the average amount of time that it takes for a lead to go from actually inquiring to a sale? And then what is the actual average order value of the sales that are coming in that are design sales or B2B sales? And if you look at those metrics, that will actually allow you to set a more realistic sales goal. Now, I'll give you an example that I've seen before. I've seen a company have 15 leads per month. 30% of those leads might lead to a sale. Average order value is about $880. So if you do the math, that wouldn't lead to $1 million just based off of that. And now that's one channel. That's inbound organic leads. And now if you're adding an additional channel of a sales rep and you're like, okay, well, this sales rep already has relationships. Yes, they might have relationships, but those relationships don't know who your company is. They don't trust your company yet. And their projects are not going to materialize until 2 years from now. Okay. So those are all of the things. And I could probably go on a tangent continuing on, but just ask yourself, are my sales goals realistic? And really just go down to the basic metrics. Based on what we have coming in organically right now, can we hit the sales goal that we met? And based on how long it takes for a design spec to materialize in a sale, how long would it actually take for us to reach the goal that we have in mind? Okay. So that was that second point. And the last point, if you can relate to any of this, is do I really even completely understand what it takes to get a sale in the design segment that I'm going after? Now, my favorite design segments to consult within are residential and hospitality. Of course, my clients do a little bit of everything, but residential and hospitality design segments are my favorite. So if you're an interior product company and you're like, I need help succeeding in those design segments in 2025 and beyond, head to thriveanddesign.co and you can schedule a discovery call and let's talk about this. But we're going to talk about what it actually takes or what understanding you actually need of specifically the hospitality design segments. So within hospitality design, there are so many different players in the design cycle. We have the designer. Sometimes we have a hotel brand. We have owners of the brand. We have an owner's rep, purchasing agents. We have product manufacturers. We have the contractors. We have subcontractors. We have fabricators. There's so many people. Oh, and let's not forget the sales reps of the interior product manufacturers. So there are so many different key players that come in and out of the project from design development all the way to fruition that need to be understood. And I can probably write a book. Maybe I will on all of those different key players, what point they come into play and how an interior product company needs to be paying attention to all of the different key players, nurturing relationships, paying attention to what information they need to make available at certain points of the design project so that they can not only get the spec, but keep the spec and then turn that spec into revenue and sometimes even recurring revenue when it comes to hospitality. So I want you to also think about, as you're going into exploring the world of design sales, does my team, not only is the person that I'm hiring, maybe you're hiring a sales rep or a sales manager or a director. Yes, they need to understand the segment that they're going after. But does the leadership team, does the support teams in terms of the quoting, marketing, production, the executive level, do all of those people fully understand what it takes to do design sales? Because you will be the support system for whatever sales team is built out to create all the tools and do the execution of the sales that your team brings in. So I want you to take time and energy and effort in really understanding that so that, one, you can be successful. You can hit that sales goal that you set for your company. And then two, so your sales team does not get frustrated or burnt out with wearing multiple hats, because I see that happen a lot too, where a company will have these expectations. They want to go after $1 million in sales with B2B or hospitality design sales, etc., but they don't have the support in place for their sales team or salesperson or director, etc., to fully support them in executing that. And that first starts with an understanding of all the key players in all the many parts and people and things that happen within the design and sales cycle in design sales. All right. So that is all that I have for you guys today. I hope that was helpful. And for some of you, that might be just basic information, but I have come across so many brands that have been successful in e-commerce. And now they're like, hey, we want to explore some B2B sales, or hey, we want to explore some design sales. What do we need to know to get started? So if you're that person, I hope this was helpful for you today. And if you're like, hey, I actually need to know more, I need a little bit more help, then I would love to work with you. Here at Thrive in Design, we are taking on a few more clients before our wait list opens up again. So if you would like to schedule a discovery call with me personally and get a project proposal for how we can work together, head to thriveanddesign.co and schedule a discovery call. That's all for today. I hope you all enjoyed. Thanks for joining us this week on Thrive in Design. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Thrive in Design. And for more strategies on how your product company can innovate in the interior design industry, head to training.thriveanddesign.co. As always, subscribe to the show to catch every new episode and leave us a review so we can continue to create captivating content. See you next week.